Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Talk Conversation Series, a peer knowledge resource by the CXOs for the CXOs. Now to our host, Kanika Goswami.
Hi, we welcome you to our podcast On Stage with Enterprise Thought Leaders. My name is Kanika and I'm the managing editor of On Media's B2B enterprise technology publications. We regularly have engaging conversations with industry experts and leaders, and today we are headed to one such conversation. With the rapid acceleration of GenAI and AI agent adoption over the past year, many companies continue to create clumsy architectures where agents operate without proper IT control, vary in quality and relevance, and are sprawled and ungoverned across teams. We're speaking with Kurt Muehmel, the head of AI strategy at Dataiku today. He was a former chief customer officer at Dataiku as well, to know about how enterprises and their technology leaders can be prepared for this new paradigm. Welcome to our podcast, Kurt. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Kanika. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Yes, and we just a few lines about Kurt. Kurt is the head of AI strategy and former chief customer officer at Dataiku, as I just said. It's a universal AI platform giving organizations control over their AI talent, processes, and technologies. Before joining this company, Kurt spent 5 years at Deloitte as a manager, advising primarily European public authorities on sustainable development policies. Kurt holds a BA in philosophy and environmental science from the University of Michigan, which probably explains your work at Deloitte as well.
Indeed, exactly. That's right.
Right. So is there anything I have missed about the organization or about you that you'd like to add?
No, I think that's a very complete summary. I think what I'm happy to be doing in my role today is mostly spending time with both our customers and then, of course, Dataiku's leadership team to understand what our customers need in terms of our platform, what it needs to provide as they start building more and more AI agents. So it's a very lucky position I'm able to be in, to be able to hear all of those stories and now have opportunities like this to share it with a wider audience.
It's our pleasure, Kurt, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to share with the audiences we have, which is almost all of them are at the CXO level, so very insightful, I'm hoping. So my first question to you is, what challenges do you see to a full-fledged adoption of Agentic AI?
Yeah, it's a great question because it forces us to think about what full-fledged adoption of Agentic AI will look like. And given the discussions that we're having with our customers, and most Dataiku customers tend to be large organizations, large corporate entities, so often organizations with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees. And what we see is a very high ambition for developing and deploying agents. Really, they're looking at the way in which agents could potentially transform almost any process or workflow within that company. And that's covering both internal, let's say back office operations, as well as customer facing ones. Now, that's a very big ambition, right? Because within any one company, that's potentially thousands, tens of thousands of agents that would be needed to transform that business at that scale. So what's holding us back, or what are the challenges from getting there? Because clearly we're not there today. Organizations are not ready today to develop and deploy agents at that scale. And I think really there's three main aspects, and you'll see that they're interrelated. On the one hand, there's a challenge of creating agents, because we believe at Dataiku that the most valuable agents that corporations are going to be using are going to be ones that they build themselves. Now, today, the way that most organizations are building agents, or really anyone is building agents, is by using some popular code-based frameworks to program how this agent should operate. These are very good frameworks, things like Llama Index, LangChain, others. These are very good ways, and actually quite easy for people who are proficient in a little bit of Python. They're actually quite easy to build an agent. The challenge, though, is that agents in particular, and this is in contrast to just analytics or machine learning models of the past, agents, since they're designed to automate a part of a business process, really what we need to do is make sure that the people who are familiar with that business process, so typically people out in the lines of business, that they have the opportunity to participate in the creation or contribute to the creation of those agents, or even be the ones who create those agents themselves, perhaps in some simpler cases. And so one challenge standing in the way of the full-fledged adoption of agentic AI is just the ability to create enough and relevant agents. So it's both a question of quality and quantity in order to transform the business. So that's one category of challenges. The second category of challenge is really about, though, controlling all of these agents. So on the one hand, we have a creation challenge, but on the other hand, we also have a control challenge. Given that agents are designed to, do things, right? They're designed to accomplish certain tasks. They're designed to have a defined degree of autonomy, not complete autonomy, but they're supposed to have some flexibility built into them. Really, we need new capabilities within the enterprise in order to monitor the performance of those agents, to be able to then go in and diagnose any problem and to fix it. And of course, there has to be also, let's say, guardrails in place to stop any inappropriate behavior, which could just be bad performance, not doing a good job, or of course could be something dangerous or toxic coming out of the LLM itself. And so we need mechanisms and systems to enable us to control agents, both for the first few agents that we're going to be developing, but then also which can scale to, again, those potentially thousands or tens of thousands of agents, which might be operating within an organization. And then, so the third category then, so we had first two categories, creation and control. I would say trust is really the one of the main challenges. Trust, I think, is related to the first two challenges. In order for organizations to trust that an agent is doing a good job, that it's delivering value, that it's actually improving upon what a human being is doing today, we need to be sure, again, that we have those control mechanisms, but also that the beneficiaries of the agent, so the line of business, which can now operate more efficiently, which can move more quickly, whatever that may be, we believe that they'll be more trusting of that agent if they have the opportunity to participate in its creation. And so I think we end up seeing almost a diagram where the challenges related to creation, to control, and trust are all quite interrelated. And that by solving these, organizations can then unlock that potential for agentic AI across the entire company.
So, yes, and going on from that question, how do companies create the right base architecture to be able to get maximum benefit out of these agents when they're used for business purposes and business apps and business platforms?
Yeah, so the architecture question is a really, really important one, especially since right now, with where we're at in the development of agentic AI in the enterprise, we're at the beginning of it, which means that there's an opportunity to get it right and avoid accumulating a lot of technical debt as we're building out this new capability. Because again, this is something quite new. It's very exciting, but we don't want to do it wrong and then have to go and rebuild it after the fact. So I think that there's a couple of things which are really very important. One is, let's call it optionality in terms of the technologies that we're going to be using. The LLM developers, the actual developers of the models, we all know that they're moving very quickly. It seems like every day there's a new model coming out, a new competitor, which is better in one area or another. There's also really exciting developments in more specialized and smaller language models as well, which can be more efficient, faster, less costly for narrower, more specific tasks. And what we anticipate is that, especially in the context of agentic AI, you're probably actually going to be using multiple models, potentially within a single agent. So you might be using a bigger, more expensive model to do some of the core reasoning, but then that large model might be handing off certain tasks, maybe code generation, certain language tasks, to smaller, more dedicated models. And so all of that means that organizations are going to need to be able to use different LLMs and different models from different providers as the technology landscape evolves, as they build different agents which have different requirements, and as they perhaps make a decision to move from one model provider to another. And so I think that maintaining that optionality and that flexibility, and not getting locked into the single ecosystem of a single model provider, that's going to be really important as organizations go forward. The other aspect that I think is going to be critically important for organizations that are building these agents themselves is, let's call it modularity, or maybe composability of common services. So running a bunch of agentic AI applications, running a bunch of agents, a lot of those agents are going to have common requirements. Those guardrails, for example, that we mentioned earlier, those are not guardrails that should be developed for each and every agent. Rather, those should be provided as a common service within a platform to allow an agent builder to really focus on defining the logic, the business logic, the way that agent actually performs, without then having to worry about how they're going to implement guardrails or implement a performance management system for that agent. So instead, all of these common services, everything related to cost monitoring, to performance monitoring, to safety monitoring, all of that should be provided in a standardized way. And at Dataiku, we've developed this concept of LLM mesh, which provides that. It provides both the flexibility to connect to different LLMs, but then also a number of common services, shared services, that can then be used across all the different agents which an organization is providing. And we think that this is really essential in order to build agents in an effective and scalable way, so that, one, you're not locked into to any one ecosystem, and two, you can ensure that all of those different services, again, cost controls, safety controls, all of that's done in a consistent and centralized way. Because indeed, you're going to want to be able to bring all of that monitoring, all of those logs back to a centralized place, so that organizations can have a complete overview of how all of their different agents are functioning. One other aspect that I would add to this as well is the importance of making sure that the agents have both secure but also reliable connections to the enterprise data. As we mentioned, right, a lot of the value of agents comes from their potential to be highly specific to a particular business process or to a particular task within an organization. And that's really the value of building them yourself, right? Is you can build it in a way which is really exactly what you need, rather than just taking something off the shelf. But in order to do that, you need to have reliable, persistent connections to your data, so that that agent always has access to the most recent data. Now, of course, though, that comes with challenges. In an enterprise setting, there's security challenges, there's privacy challenges as well. And that's also the sort of layer which is best provided by a platform and not engineered each and every time by the agent developer. In short, when you're building out these agents or equipping your team to build these agents, you want to make sure that they have all the tools needed so that they can do so quickly, but also efficiently and in a standardized way, so that there are some ways that you can ensure that there is good quality control in the agents that they're building. Because if every agent builder is implementing their own connection to every database, their own performance management system for that agent, it's going to be both redundant and also potentially not at the quality which is required to be able to trust those agents.
And all of this runs on the premise that they are going to have good data available.
Yes, yeah. Ideally, right?
How do companies be ready with the data that these agents need to function optimally?
Yeah, so unfortunately, agents don't solve the data quality challenge that organizations have been facing for years. They can actually potentially help. You can imagine data quality agents, which kind of crawl data sources, look for opportunities to update and improve data quality. So there are potential applications for agents which improve data quality, but in general, right, I think the potential for agentic AI only makes more prevalent and more obvious the need to ensure good data quality and good data stewardship within an organization. The whole idea here, right, is that agents are going to give you more access to more data, to more people. They're going to make it easier to use historical data that you have, to search unstructured data, and so on. But all of that is not very useful for a business if, again, we can't trust that that underlying data is of right quality. And that's why it's so important to be building these agents on top of a trusted platform for that data, so that you can be sure that the agent that you're interacting with has access to the latest data, to, let's say, a golden data set, which has been validated as being the correct source for that particular agent, for that particular process. Because otherwise, once again, that agent is going to fall into that trap of no trust, and the people who are supposed to be using it, who it's supposed to benefit, probably are not going to use it if they can't trust the data that's coming out of it. So as with all previous technologies that have, in some way or another made data more accessible, so things like BI, dashboards, all of that, this only serves to further reinforce the importance for organizations to improve that data.
Yeah, I mean, that's a basis for everything and anything anybody can do today. A quick digression here. Do you think we have adequate regulations and compliances in place if AI agents are to be used on a very regular basis in enterprises? AI does have regulations, and there are compliances that EU has set in place. For instance, some the US has set in place. But do you think the use of agentic AI needs any special or any additional regulations to make sure that they're secure, they're performing well, they're not creating any kind of risks for the company?
So I think that that between the variety of regulations that we have today, in many ways actually cover a lot of the different processes or a lot of the different aspects of agentic AI. Everything, for example, that we have related to data privacy in different jurisdictions in the United States and Europe and elsewhere, that applies equally as well to data which may be accessed or exposed by an agent. So I don't think that we need to necessarily reinvent the regulatory wheel, so to speak, for agentic AI. I think that some things which could be beneficial, and which I think also most organizations are going to find is just good business, is transparency in terms of when you're interacting with an agent, when a process is fully automated or partially automated. I think it's always good practice to ensure that your end users know what type of system they're working with. In my personal experience, I find that the companies that of which I am a customer, they tend to do that pretty transparently today, right? Where it says, I'm your agentic AI help bot. I'm going to help you in this particular way. And I think as we are all becoming users of agents, both in our personal lives and at work, I think that that's going to be quite common, that we get a sense of, this is an agent that I'm interacting with that has these capabilities, but not these other capabilities. And I think that's just also a good way to ensure that the end user is using the agent potentially, because you don't want to have a situation where, your end user is looking to use an agent in a way which it's not designed to provide. That could lead to frustration or just, poor performance from the agent. So having a high degree of transparency about this is the agent that operates in a particular way and is designed to provide certain answers but not others, or certain services or certain tasks can be accomplished but not others. I think that that's going to be very valuable. And once again, I see companies doing that today. So do we need a regulation or compliance requirements for that? I'm not sure. I think another dimension to all of this, though, is of course the questions around employment and is this going to change the nature of certain roles? I think invariably yes. This is necessarily going to change certain roles. It's difficult to predict in exactly which way that's going to be. And so I do think that different jurisdictions, different governments should be looking ahead to a future where certain roles are going to be changing. Maybe certain roles are going to be, less required, in which case that frees up time of those employees to do other things, higher value things, thanks to this, basic automation technology of agentic AI. So I don't think that agentic AI in and of itself requires a whole new set of regulation, but I do think that it strengthens the need for certain regulations. For example, as I mentioned about transparency.
So while you just said that you can't really foresee anything else happening, do you have any insights into the next year or so, maybe as far as the adoption of Agentic AI is concerned?
Yeah, so I think it's easy to say that within the next year that especially corporations, large corporations, are going to be actively pursuing the development of agents to automate certain business processes. Where we see them today is that they're kind of in their POC phase, establishing that these agents are able to accomplish, especially relatively simple tasks. And so over the next 12 to 18 months, what we're going to see is more of those POCs graduating out of POC and into production. Primarily, those are going to be on internal use cases. So, for example, internal IT help desk is actually is turning out to be a common area that that Dataiku's customers are kind of practicing their ability to develop agents. I think we'll see more and more of those use cases graduate out of production or out of POC and into production. We'll then see also, let's say, an increasing sophistication of the agents as well. As I mentioned, right, we're just kind of crossing the threshold into the first, what we could truly consider agentic applications. And what we'll see in the future, and again, in this near future of 12 to 18 months, is going to be more complex capabilities, right? Agents that are connected to more tools, maybe that are given a little bit more leeway in terms of what reasoning they can do on their own. And the reason that we'll see that increasing sophistication is because these organizations will have gained more experience and will be better able to ensure that the agent is performing in a way that they can have confidence that it can do something more complex. And then from there, right, they're going to be stepping even further out into customer-facing applications, into multi-agent systems where you have one agent interacting with several other agents. All of this, though, is kind of emphasizes that importance of a solid platform with really strong performance monitoring capabilities, given that those multi-agent systems can become quite complex to maintain and to improve as they're deployed. So I think in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to see more agents graduating out of POC into production. Those agents are going to become increasingly complex and increasingly autonomous, but still, this is quite a constrained degree of autonomy that they're going to have. And then, that they're going to be increasingly customer-facing and kind of coming out of the back office and up to the front of the shop, so to speak.
So those are the questions I had. If I've missed anything, would you like to add what to expect when Agentic AI does more than it is doing now for enterprises? I mean, are we ready for it? Are enterprises okay to go ahead with it? Are we ready is the question.
I think the answer, and I think from what I'm hearing from most organizations, is almost like ready or not, here it comes. And that I think is because the kind of the economic incentive is so strong to have finally a degree of automation in the enterprise, which was not possible previously. That organizations need to figure this out quickly. Otherwise, they're really going to be at risk of, if not obsolescence, at least underperformance. And so I think the incentives are very strong. And so this is a wave which is coming quickly, as agents prove to really be kind of the main application type, which is going to be useful in the enterprise in terms of actually applying generative AI to really specific business processes. So that the wave is coming, and it's those who are able to not only ride that wave but to get ahead of it that are really going to be successful in the years to come.
And with that, we come to the end. Thank you so much for your time, Kurt. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content.